brows down and my lips that day, so they're really bruised. So
just bear with us, okay?
bear with it.
I love it. It comes up and it says there's a recording in progress. Do you want to stay or should you leave? I was going to hit the leave button.
Like, here we are. Welcome to our podcast.
all that gold I just gave you. You totally didn't even put it in the video. So.
Some of the stuff just needs to be for us, okay?
Okay.
Prequel.
The funny thing, I told Sandy I was doing this today, and she goes, "Where can I tune in?" I said, "You got to wait till after we record it." I go, she wanted to see me make a fool of myself. She told me I was going to the Lion's Den with you three. So
the Lion's Den. She's gonna be here next. So
nothing's edited though, so it's raw and real. So regardless, how
well,
embarrassing
you guys
you
know
want to
how
be
I
for
am.
yourself.
I try to always be that way with everyone. I always go, listen, if you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. Sometimes I answer it to the best of my ability. Sometimes I'm probably too honest, and that gets me in trouble sometimes. Sometimes I need to be a little more edited. So,
I feel it. Trust me, now I feel it.
It is what it is. You either like it or you don't. So, you try to be as honest as you can. I figured I'm better that way than I am if I try to change it any other way. So
yeah, I don't think it would be you if you were like filtered. I just can't.
You'd be like, "What's wrong with it?" You would think something was wrong with me. Yeah, exactly. You think I was sick. Yeah, I could get that. If I get real quiet or whatever, people are probably like, "What's wrong with him? Is he okay?"
Wrong? People say the same thing about me.
Yeah. When are you ever? When are any of us ever quiet?
If I'm quiet, it's usually because I'm hungry. Don't speak to me.
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever, and this is the honest to goodness truth, I don't think I've ever seen any of you in a bad mood. Even hungry, after stage when you're not happy and you're pretending you are, which I know. Yeah.
In there.
I was thinking, when I was thinking of this today, I was thinking of Jazz, and one of the questions on your list was, what do athletes do that you really don't like? And the first thing that always comes to mind is when people try to do a pose that their body just doesn't work for them. So there's a picture of Jazz from her first show where she's doing a front pose. And I go, I don't know where she saw that. I don't know who she was trying to imitate, but it looked awful on her. And I go, but I sit there and I go, okay, I'll cut her some slack. It was her first show. I got to do that. But I was sitting there going, okay, that really ties into that question, because I go, what's the worst thing an athlete can do? And that's do something that doesn't work for them. So when you're posing and you saw something that maybe say Janet did or Laura Lee did or Ashlyn did or whoever it may be, and you go, oh, I'm going to do that pose, and it looks awful on you, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't dabble in it. I know.
Get a coach. Get a coach.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to find that. I hope you guys, when you edit this, you put that picture in.
I know exactly the picture.
It was like a crazy split
the
leg,
OG,
hand on the hip.
Yeah,
She looked like someone hit her
the
with a stun
stallion
gun.
pose. Yeah, it was that the old like stallion pose. Like people used to do that from they stopped doing that around 2018 is when that started to really phase out. Like you didn't see it much anymore.
Courtney King one. That after that was when they stopped.
Yeah.
Like 17. Yep.
Yeah.
And that worked for Courtney. It didn't work for Jazz.
My legs are huge.
Works for people that are smaller, usually lanky, because it gives them a little bit more shape.
Yeah. More shape.
I just want to pick on Jazz.
Condensed, you can't do that pose.
That's all. I'm just here to pick on Jazz. That's all. She's
we learned.
She's almost like an OG Clash girl. I gotta kind of pick on her a little bit.
Yeah, it's my first show, man.
Yep. Someone has to, and it might as well be me. It's fine.
Yep.
But, no, and I was reading all your guys' questions, and I was like, all right, I'm sure they have others that they're going to ask. So we really should probably, maybe answer questions or do what we're supposed to do.
Yes,
Otherwise,
we need to dive into these. And I don't know what questions you got. Who sent you questions other than the 5 that I sent you?
just the ones you sent me. That's it. Other people send me questions all the time, and I usually just, I go, oh, okay, and I answer.
Of them.
But I liked your questions better. They were kind of fun. So And
Okay. I made those questions up just because I wanted to get the ball rolling. So I thought that those questions would be good and something that people would want to know. So if you want to start with number one, I don't even know what number one is.
yeah, see, you don't even know what number one was, and I don't have them in front of me, so I'm just.
I have it on my notes. I just gotta pull it up.
Aha.
1 second.
Okay, well, she goes, I'll start rapid fire. Okay.
Okay, so how long have you been a
never mind,
judge?
she's going.
How long have I been
Did you hear my
judging?
question?
How long have I been judging? Is that was the question?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's rewind in the time machine here, because after I was done competing, I judged for a short time in Ohio, very short time. And of course, life happened. So college, jobs, career. And I was like, this isn't really something I have time for. So I got away from it. Still stayed involved with the sport. So even rewinding farther than that, people go, when did you really get involved? And I said, well, the first year I was really around the sport was 1985.
Wow.
My first competition was in 88. So in the early 90s, you know, like every other guy who was like, oh, give back, you know, do something different. Well, all we had back then was bodybuilding, men and women. We had already done away with mixed pairs. Masters was just kind of coming back, or coming around, I should say. And there was only Masters 40 plus bodybuilding. So I did that for a while and got away, and then stayed connected to the sport with my training partners and different people. So we went all over pro show, you know, nationals, pro shows, the Night of the Champions, the Olympia, the Masters Olympias. So long story short, about 10 years ago, approximately, I was living in South Carolina and I was doing construction work. I was there on a contract. And I wandered into Trey Bennett's gym, and who knew who Trey was, I wasn't friends with him at the time. And we started talking, and he's like, you need to come back and judge for me. I need good judges. And I was like, not a chance. I go, I really didn't spend that much time doing it, but I'm like, I really, other things were more important, and I was still working. And he's like, no, I need you. So I fought him for the longest time, and I blame him for bringing me back into this mess. That's what I always tell him. You did this to me.
Your fault.
And so I started with him and Mo Newman in South Carolina. They kind of, you know, I would say they kind of welcomed me back after being away for a long time. I mean, I wasn't away from the sport, but just not involved with anything to do with, you know, judging, promotions, anything like that. And then it all took off really fast. I ended up judging after about however many years it was, 2 years, 3 years. They had me take the national exam. I did that. Then Sandy right away recommended me to Jim for doing the pro league stuff. And he said, of course. So the funniest thing is I always tell people, my very first head judging job, I guess you would say, I'm with Trey. We're at the Europa in Orlando, and there was women's physique. Trey got a phone call from Jim. He says, what do you think about putting Joe into head judge? And it was like 30 minutes before check-ins on Friday night. And Jim goes, I think it's a great idea. Make him do it. Now, my heart sank because, you know, I don't know if you guys know this or not. When I always get nervous when I sit down at the judging table.
You do?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. To this day.
Wow.
Till this day.
No, to this day. But here's why. It's not because I'm not confident in my skills.
Right.
I know what every athlete on that stage has gone through, and I know that I want to get it right. So if you don't sit down at that table and have some type of nerve, like stomach butterflies, thinking about the competition, thinking about what, you know, especially when you get to know the athletes really well, you start thinking, how is this person going to look today from the last time I saw them? Are they going to have improved? Are they going? So in your mind, you have all these mental notes going on. You have all these other things, but the biggest concern in my brain is I want to get it right. I don't want to be a person who sits there and goes, oh, I put her in fourth and she could have been second or third. Who cares? I don't want to be that guy. If I put you in fourth, I want to tell you why and explain to you why I did and why the person in third or second was where they were at. So for me, I still get nervous. I sit down at that table and I go, if you don't get nervous, then there's something wrong. And maybe nerves aren't the right word to use. I mean, maybe it should be anticipation, excitement, but I still call it nerves. No different than if I walked on stage. I go, every time I walked on stage, no matter how confident you get and how good your routine is and everything else, there's still that excitement, that anticipation that wells up inside of you. And I think about that all the time. And I go, when you walk out there and those lights hit you and you start doing your thing, it's like you're taken to another world. So as a judge, I say it all the time. I go, I don't want to ever take this lightly. And the time when it gets to that time where I don't have nerves anymore, or my stomach doesn't have butterflies in it, then it's time for me to walk away. And, you know, the bigger the stage, it doesn't matter, because I go, my nerves, if I sit down at a local show here in Florida, it's just as much as if I sit down and judge when I've sat down and judged the Olympia. So to me, it's an honor, I guess you would say, but it's stress. It's a job. It's a job that you want to do right and take pride in.
That's actually so funny that you mentioned this, because my mom was one of the people in the comment box, and she goes, can you please ask him how in the world he judges all of these beautiful athletes? She's like, I seriously want to know. I'm like, I'll ask Mom.
That's called luck. That's called luck. And this is something that's so, you know, not to sidebar here, but I always say this. I go, you guys don't realize how amazing you really are. And I hope that someday it actually sinks in, not to be arrogant or cocky or whatever it may be, but I go, to actually realize how hard you work, how hard you diet, how hard you train, and how good all of you look. You're so beautiful. Every one of our, I call them our girls, like I have something to do with it, but the organization, everybody up there just looks so amazing. And I go, we are so lucky to do what we do. And it's fun to watch. I go, really is, because this is my, you know, I think one of the questions you had on the list was, you know, why did you want to do it? And for me, it's living vicariously through you guys, because I tell people, I go, everything good in my life came from bodybuilding. I've said that a million times. I go, jobs, you know, money. I go, career success. I go, hard work translates from the gym to the stage, you know, dieting. I go, years ago, I used to work with pro athletes, baseball players, football players, arena football players. It was so funny. You'd put them on a diet for 3 days, they'd crack like eggs. They couldn't do it. And I tell people, when you get to that stage, you have done what 99.999%. And you guys have heard me say this. You've done what people in the world cannot do. Yeah. Now, if you take those skills and put them to your jobs, whatever your job may be, whatever your career is, your relationships, I go, you will be successful. You will be great at what you do, because it's a dedication that most people don't have. So now, of course, I still, you know, my brain, I've been very lucky, blessed in life. I've done a lot of great things career-wise and all that other nonsense, I guess you would say, because like I said, I try to stay very level and even in what I've done in my life, but I live vicariously through you guys now. So now I love seeing, okay, here's what you have to do to get better. And when you do that and I see you, I can go, okay, you did the first things. Now you have to do more of this. And we have picked a sport where there is no end. So no matter how good you get, there's always more. I don't care who we are in the sport. I don't care if you win the Olympia, you're still going to look at yourself and go, I have to fix something else. Yep. So for me, I live vicariously for you guys. And that's why I do it. I go, I have fun talking to you and watching you guys progress. And eventually your competitive career will be over. It happens to all of us, whether it's through injury, whether it's through something else in life takes over. The most amazing part is someday you're going to look back, you're going to see sitting there maybe with the grandchild on your lap, you're going to be 80 years old, and you're going to go, look how good grandma looked. And that's it. That's the part I go, you guys don't realize how good you really are. And, you know, we're in a sport where you bury yourself to a group of 5 judges, 10 judges, 7 judges, whatever it may be. And you're letting us pick apart your flaws. And that can be mentally brutal. And let me ask you guys this. You've all been there. When you're standing on a diagonal and the first call out comes and your number doesn't get called, tell me you don't have a little part of your heart that just sinks in your chest.
Oh yeah.
We've all had it. And I go, that is something that I always look at and I go, I know how exactly how they feel right now. And I've had good and bad. I've had good, I've had bad experience. Well, I shouldn't say bad experiences. It's just sometimes people want to yell and scream at you. You know, you left me on that. I had a situation not too long ago, and the girl was so upset with me because she was second call out. So where you belong that day. And I explained to her why, but it didn't matter. Because to her, I can't believe I didn't get off that diagonal for first call out. And it can, one thing I've learned to do in this position as a judge is I get yelled, I don't want to say yelled at a lot, but you have people that voice emotions in different ways. And the best thing to do is never take it personally.
Oh,
You
yeah.
listen, always listen, and try to find a way to explain, like I said, the conclusion you came to. And that's all you can do as a judge. You try to be consistent and fair and look for what our criteria is. I mean, our criteria is listed on NPC News Online. And I love when people go, well, what do you look for? And I go, I look for the criteria, not what I like, not what Sandy likes or this person likes. We try to judge by the criteria we're given. And yes, that is subjective to a point, but it's also subjective to a point where you can't take a figure body and say, well, that should win bikini because she's the best body on stage. It
Right.
doesn't fit the criteria. So there are guidelines that we have to deal with. And people go, what are the guidelines? And I go to NPC News Online and read those. Start there. Look at the winner of our Olympia. Start there. That should be our gold standard and what we are expecting. And yes, every person is different. So you might look at it and go, well, this person in first looks like this second looks like this. But what we're doing is we're taking flaws and strengths and seeing what lies closest to that criteria that we're trying to abide by, that thought, the envisionment of what is the perfect stage body in that class or in that division.
And
So that
speaking
answers
of,
like
like,
three
that
questions.
criteria, because I want to get this, you reminded me of this whenever you said, and I know this, but I need you to talk about it just in depth a little bit. So people were very.
Did I just see Dominic rolling around in the background back
Yes. He said
there?
hi.
Big D, what are you doing?
He's eating like always.
That's that. You got to eat when you're that big. All
I
the
know.
time.
But so can you explain, because I don't know if you guys look at Reddit ever, but it's actually really interesting because it's called Bikini Talk. So you can literally go into Reddit and type in Bikini Talk, and then of course there's like all these articles and all these people going back and forth. So the controversy in bikini right now is the fact that Laura Lee won the Arnold and Jen won the Olympia. But I know that the Olympia winner is the standard. So that's
Correct.
the person that we should be looking at for the rest of the year. Like that sets the tone for the rest of the year. But then somebody like Laura Lee, who is a lot more conditioned, has a lot more muscle, obviously her and Jen are completely different. And this is just how it goes. But Jen wasn't on the Arnold stage. So obviously, now people are saying, so are they looking for what Laura Lee is bringing with the more hard condition look? Or are they still looking for what Jen has, which is the more balanced, soft, still has the conditioning that they're looking for in bikini, but she has a softer look?
Okay, so two things that you can split this question into two separate entities. So as a judge, and you've heard us say it a million times, I can only judge what's on stage in front of me that day.
Absolutely.
So in that instance, you go, okay, Laura Lee that day was the athlete that the judging panel came to a consensus, which remember, once again, there's 5 people. So they're trying to pick apart and find strengths and weaknesses. So that day, she was the one that they went with. Now, that doesn't change the whole look or the whole division. That's one day. It's one snapshot. Once again, you hit the nail right on the head. Right now, the gold standard technically to what is the closest to the criteria would be Jen. They are 2 different, totally separate bodies. Completely 100% agree. But there are no 2 bodies that are the same. So I could put, Ashlyn, when I could put you on stage and I go, well, wait, you won the clash and this person took 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Every one of your bodies was different.
Yep.
Now, do we try to say who is closest to our Miss Olympia winner? Yes. but you will have anomalies just based upon, a good example of this could be when Jen Ronziti was doing very well. Jen was always more conditioned than a lot of other athletes. Camille Perriot, same way, more conditioned, more athletic, more muscular. But that didn't stop them from doing very well in bikini. No two bodies are the same, and you are going to have to make that choice. And once again, you can only judge what's on stage in front of you. So by Laura Lee winning, it doesn't necessarily change the whole criteria of bikini. Now, come Olympia time, when they're on stage together, and you have yourself, you have Janet, you have, all of our qualified athletes, then it becomes now we start again. We got to compare everybody, which is why the clock resets and it starts over again, unless it's a repeat winner. Then you go, okay, they like the overall, the judges have liked the package of what was brought to stage with the improvements by the winner, and now they're repeating. So it's the same look, reset it. Now, the trick for someone that's maybe more athletic, like Laura Lee, is that, if she gets on stage, where will she compare next to Jen? If Jen happens to be the choice that day wins amongst the judges. So it'll be interesting to see, because like I said, I always go, the Olympia starts the season and it doesn't really change mid-season. It doesn't. But we can only judge what's on stage. So if you go to a local show, I've had athletes say to me all the time, oh, is that what you're looking for now? You're looking for hard and you're looking for big. And I go, okay, let me take this a step further. What did I have to pick from today? Well, I look at him and I go, at this local level, what body do I see up there that could walk off this stage and be more competitive at the national level? It's the same as when we get to the nationals. We look at a national winner, who's going to get the pro card, and you go, who is going to be able to make that transition in the next step to the pro league? Who's going to be able to get there? Who looks like they could be closer today than anybody else on stage? So those factors come into your brain as a judge, because we are looking at the next step for athletes. And once again, the Olympia, it's a whole different world. I mean, that's the best of the best.
Oh yeah.
And to get there.
To piggyback off of that, so can you explain how judging works? So you have your panel of judges and how the scoring card works. So, because a lot of athletes don't understand the numbers and how you guys decide where you put first, second.
Yeah, really think of it like a golf scorecard. The lower score, obviously, is your best. So you have 5 judges. We'll use 5 as the standard, because it's the easiest for us to work with. First, we have 3 girls on stage. The girl that gets first, it's unanimous across the board. All ones. But every time we judge, we drop a high and a low. So it doesn't matter if they got 5 ones, if they got a 3, a 2, 1, 1, 1, they would lose a 1 and a 3. The numbers get added together, and that's your total score. Now, you take it a step further, and obviously that total score, the lowest score is first, second lowest, second, etc. Now, in the pro league, it does take a step further, because this is so hard to explain to people when you've been in the NPC maybe for a while. You're like, oh, it's all over after prejudging. Yes and no. Because I always tell athletes, finish it off. Yep. You came into prejudging, you were ready to step on stage. Do not do something stupid between prejudging and finals, because if it is close, we can still in the NPC rescore it at night. Now in the pros, of course, we have the confirmation round, which you better bring your A game to that, because if it was close, we'll rescore it right on the spot. And it happens quite frequently. And I hate to say it, but sometimes people don't really pay attention and they think, oh, it's already done, and it's not done. So now if you were rejudged in the pro league at your night score, the second round or third round, however you want to say, it'll be the second round. Those scores get added together, and it's still the same process. The lowest score is always first, and then it's, down it goes. But that's why we have multiple judges as well. The head judge's job is to guide the judges to what does he see or she see as the criteria's best fit. Now, the job of the other judges on the panel, which is, if you guys see me all the time with Sandy, I'm leaning over into her ear, with Tyler, everybody, we are constantly talking like, wait, you need to look at this over here. Can we move her? Can we do this? Can we do that? Because then you're getting a good look. at everybody. And I want to throw this out there because I hope that this is something that will stick in people's brains. There is no such thing as a spot on stage which guarantees you first place, second place, third place, fourth
Thank
place.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, they don't. As a matter of fact, I do it on purpose a lot of times. I will move people around all over the place and give you no clue where you're going to be.
That's the excitement of it. If you always know where somebody's going to be, there is no excitement. Like, that's part of the show. It's called bodybuilding show for a reason. It's exciting. You don't want to go into conference being like, I already know who's going to win. That's not fun.
And you do realize that a lot of times those numbers you see on stage are there for the trophy girls and the expediters, so they know where to put them when they're handing them out. So I go, you'll find, of course, you know, part of the excitement of a call out and part of the excitement of being compared, a lot of times, yes, being brought to center stage is a great thing. But ask Ashlyn, what did I do to her at the Charlotte Cup?
You moved her to the
All the
side,
way to the
right?
side.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, you the winner, but goodbye.
Yeah, because at the same time, you go, I'm comparing, you know, no matter who I move, I could be moving those two people in the center and comparing them to the person to the left, who I already know is going to be the gold standard for that day. You know, so it's very interesting, but I want to put that out there because I go, don't always assume, well, I was standing center stage on the one spot. You know, Gary taught me this this goes back 10 years. I was at a show. It was one of the, it was right after I started doing national shows. So maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it was. But he took the lineup and he went best all the way to the left, worst all the way to the right. He just put them in order like 1 through 8. And the funny part was, I think he was trying to see
a Gary trick.
I think he was trying to see if the judges were awake, was what he was doing. Because I looked at it and I'm like, is he serious right now? Is he saying the guy in the center is the best one up there? Because I got him like in 4th. Well, I just judged it the way I saw it because I'm like, he's doing this on purpose. There is no way he's this far off. And he said to me afterwards, he goes, my man, he goes, I just wanted to see if you guys would follow along and just blindly do it, or if you would actually judge the show the way you're supposed to judge a show. And I always go, listen, our job as a head judge is to guide people. That is true. But I also expect people to talk and give me input, because input is valuable. I go, I can't, you know, if I have 30 of you on stage, I want to make sure, like I said, I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
So if I keep you there a little longer, because I've gotten that one too, you keep us on stage a little longer, and I go, okay, is that a bad thing?
No, I'd be thankful.
Yeah, well, it is if you're not, so, you know, maybe you shouldn't be there, but I go, you really shouldn't, you should be glad that we're keeping you there that long. And I go, it's not like we're keeping you for an hour. And I know those heels can't be comfortable. I could only imagine what you girls go through. But I sit there and I go, I want to make sure I get it right. So I will keep you a little longer and we'll spend a little more time comparing and moving people around. But I go, leading back to where I started this, I really want to emphasize that there is no one spot on the stage. So please stop. Like I've seen it at least a couple hundred times. Afterwards, athletes will put something on social media and they're like, I was in the number 1 spot. And I'm like, I want to comment so bad. You go, well, where was that? Can you tell me? Because I don't know.
Where's the one spot?
There's the one
Hey,
spot.
I was in the middle. I kept getting moved to the middle the whole time. Bermuda and I got second. So I left in the middle. I was in the middle pretty much the whole time. Like, of course, they moved me in and out, but I always left, and I was always pretty much the only one that stayed in the middle the longest, and I still got second place. So.
Yeah. And it does happen. And I go, it's something to remember that I go, you came the best shape you could, hold that conditioning, hold everything and do your job. I go, especially when you become a pro, I go, you know, people are so in a hurry to go from the NPC to the pro league. And I always tell them, enjoy the journey.
Yep.
Take your time. I go, enjoy it, because this is a process. I go, and when you get to the pro league, now you're starting all over again.
All over again.
A whole new ball game. But it is. I think the chase for your pro card, as for me, and I think for you girls too, it's like that's the best part. When you're chasing that pro card, you learn so much about yourself when you're going national show after national show. And then once you're in the pro league, you do start from the bottom of the totem pole, but that's the fun of it. Like you said, it's bodybuilding. We're continuously building.
Honestly, and you have to take this into consideration too. The funnest part for me was my pro debut season because I had zero expectations. All I wanted to do was get to know the judges. I wanted the judges to get to know me. I did not care if I came in last place every single show. All I wanted to do was get on stage, make the improvements, and learn from those improvements and see what the judges even wanted out of me, what they liked, what they didn't like. Like, that was the fun part to me. Now it's so much more like pressure, obviously, because like once you do start doing better, you start putting more and more pressure on yourself. Just naturally, it just happens because you want to make sure you're improving.
Yes.
Yeah, like one of the questions that we got was how long does it take to get your pro card going from amateur to NPC? And it varies, you know, different things. I feel like if I would have in my first year ever competing, if I would have went into it how I see some first time competitors, I'm like, I wish you were naive to a certain degree and would just enjoy it, because I was so naive so much and I enjoyed my first year so much. I won my pro card in 8 months. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just like enjoying the ride, having so much fun, just going show to show, getting better. And I was like, it was just so much. If I would have been like one of the clients or opposing clients or coaching clients I've had in the past who's so like worried about every single little thing and like worried about winning, like, yes, you want to win, but you should be so worried in like your first year or so. Like, just enjoy the freaking ride, because it can come to if you don't worry about things, because sometimes you can hold yourself back by overthinking it.
Yeah.
Well, I also tell athletes, be persistent and enjoy that persistence. Okay. And I've given this speech more times than I will probably, but I'm going to do it again. My training partner, the very first person that I trained with, over the course of an entire career, he won 93 shows. Okay. In 1985, he had already been competing for 11 years. Actually, no, I take that back. It was 12 years. He was competing for 12 years. He won the USA. You didn't get a pro card back then when you had to go to the universe. So he goes overseas to the universe. He gets second. He doesn't get his pro card. Comes back, has to keep going every year. Nationals, 3rd place, 5th place. Then in 1987, 13th place. He just bombed. And then he took time off. So he came back in 93. He was 39 years old. And he did the Open and he won his pro card at the Nationals. So it took him 20 years of competing to get a pro card. And I tell people all the time, that was when pro cards were, you know, they were for men bodybuilders, they were hard as hell to come by.
They were scarce, right?
And that excitement, that chase never stopped for him for 20 years. Because then after that, he did, like I said, Night of the Champions. He did the Ironman. He did the Toronto Pro. He did the Masters Olympia 3 times. I was with him on a lot of those trips. And I sit there and I go, it was an experience like I can't even explain. But I always tell people, do not quit on yourself if this is what you really want, but also don't expect it to happen in 5 minutes. You got to put your work in. And we have athletes like Jazz that'll come, they do well, they enjoy themselves, and guess what? They get a pro card quick.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that everyone's going to do that. And I go, if you really love competing, you're competing just to make your improvements. And I know that's so cliche. Everyone hates it. They're like, it's me versus me. And I'm like, no, it really is, whether you believe it or not. Because if you don't look good and you don't make improvements, it don't matter. You ain't going to place any higher. So
Thank you. Okay. So can you please say, like, coming from a judging standpoint, what is more impressive and more important to you guys? Is it more important for you guys to see an athlete maybe in 2 years, but they have improved so much that it just blows you away? Or would you rather an athlete take a couple, months off and then come back and maybe they're a little bit improved, but I mean, they're at least showing up and they're like being consistent as far as like, oh, I'm here, I'm showing you that I'm here, I'm willing to be here, but they're not bringing the improvements. Like, which one is better?
Well, you got to bring the improvements. I mean, there really is nothing else that we do in this sport. It doesn't matter if you show up. You can show up, and like I said, you're 13th place. You get it again because you didn't make the improvements. So I don't care though if it takes you a month, you do something different and in a month you made improvements and you come back and you show that to me, or it does take you 2 years to get, to show those improvements. I don't care what the time frame is, but that's why I've been often told you invest a lot of time and effort and I go, yes, I do. I want to watch your journey and I think it's important. So I'm going to notice, okay, you rounded out your glutes a little bit more, but we still need more. You tighten down like we told you to do, but now you're a little bit, your physique's a little bottom heavy in the legs. Now we got to kind of streamline that down and bring the shoulders up a little bit to balance it out. And the next time I see someone, I go, okay, now the shoulders are up, but you made them a little too big. And, once again, it's amazing what little changes can do, but that's our job as a judge. Your job is to notice and pay attention to detail. I could have been a detective on Murder, She Wrote. And that's probably too old in a reference for most people. But I sit there and go, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to pay attention to those changes as they're made. And I would prefer, to see changes. Like I said, timing, some people can make certain changes in a certain amount of time and it can happen for them relatively quickly. But I'd rather see an athlete make changes than just showing up. Just showing up does the athlete feel good? So, we lost somebody. I was going to say we got like the little crazy face on the screen.
I think a lot of us got the same questions, and it's kind of a general question, but a lot of girls were asking, okay, what's the difference between the regional level shows, the national level shows, and the pro level shows, and how are they, starting as an amateur, going to make their way up and make a name for themselves, show up for the judges? What is your biggest advice for that route?
I always tell them, you only get to be a true novice once. So start there. That's your first time in an NPC show. Don't not take advantage of that. Start there. Start it. Find a contest first off that is not going to break the bank. You're not, I know that everybody goes, well, I want to do this one because my team is doing this and we're going to travel to, I don't know, Washington, and you live in Florida. And I go, we have 40 shows in the state of Florida. Pick something that financially fits your life and is close to your home. Start there. And like I said, most places around the country, most of our athletes are within a certain, low distance of a show. Start something that you can get your feet wet. Take that first time, shot and do the true novice. Find a show close to home. Get some experience and start talking to people. The relationships you make, whether it's talking to people backstage or the judges, that's going to help you and give you confidence. Plus, it's going to lead you to the next steps. Most of us, when we start, we might not have a coach, or we have a coach that might not really know what they're doing. I mean, be honest. I mean, it's just what it is. So you're going to start meeting people. You're going to start meeting different coaches. You're going to talk to judges. Then the next step is to find what I call a regional show. Now, a regional show and all, there really is no separation in the big scheme of things. They're almost all national qualifiers now.
Yeah.
But I tell athletes all the time, find a show that's going to be a little more challenging for you before you go to the nationals. Because when you go to a national show, now you're with 1,000 other athletes. And that could be overwhelming. But I said, if you can get on stage at a show where there's maybe, instead of 3 people in your class, now you have 15, and you do well there, I said, now you're following that progression. Now, there are a lot of athletes who don't have to do that. They're really good and they can skip and they go, one qualifier to a national show, whatever it may be. But I go for a normal athlete who's learning their body, which is what you're doing. And once again, creating relationships, talking to more judges, finding out what can I do to be better. And once again, you might be qualified right away. And you might say, all right, I'm ready to go to a national show. So now you get to the next level, which is the nationals. This is where the pro card comes in. And once again, it's very difficult at this level because we're looking for athletes that are going to be able to transition to the pro stage. So once again, you might have done well at the local, regional, and I always go, okay, local would be that show that's mostly made up of people in that area. Regional, where you have a lot of athletes that'll come in with their teams to compete against other athletes from multiple states. And I can use the Clash because it's the easiest thing I can think of off the top of my head. We'll usually get athletes from 30, 35 states to come in. So you get athletes from 30, 35 states, and you get teams that come in, whether it's Fit Body Fusion, bringing their whole amateur team in, or a good chunk of them. That brings a whole different level of competition. So now doing well at that, in that regional environment, now you're getting to the national level. And we know the national shows. I mean, obviously the nationals in December, the big one, which if I don't say this, JM will hunt me down or whatever and be angry, but each one is a national show, but they do have different names.
Yes.
So you have the Junior USA, which will kick you off at the beginning of the year, and a lot of people say, I'm going to do the nationals in Charleston. And it's like, it is an NPC national show. Yes, but it is not the nationals.
Yes.
But that's the old, our mentality of, back in the 80s, it was a stepping, it was how we progressed. So once you got past back then a state level show, if you could win an overall, then you would go to the junior nationals or the junior USA and test your feet there before you went to the nationals. Now we've kind of blended those national shows into one grouping, and they're all going to do the job. If you're looking to become a pro, you win there and you're going to get your pro card. So you have the Junior USA kicks it off in May, Junior Nationals, and then of course now we have Masters Nationals, the Universe with Masters and Open. You got the Amateur Olympia now, which has thrown a whole new pro qualifier on top of the layers. You have the USA. I know I'm missing something here because I'm just racking through my brain. And of course the Nationals, which in December. So
North America.
In North America. Thank you.
Universe.
I said Universe. That one I remember. Otherwise, Big Steve will kill me, and I don't want that. So it's definitely a good thing. It's not a bad thing to enjoy those levels, because I know you've all done that big national show where you line up backstage and you're with 30, 40 girls, and you're being like, this is your chance, get up there. And it's like, you got that 10 seconds and you got the next girl breathing down your throat because that MC's call, they're thank you. The expediters, boom, boom, boom. And I go, that is where you really start to see that this becomes more, as a professional, yes, you do get more stage time, but it's a job, and it is a job you want to be perfect at. So that's why as we get to the pros, I, as a judge, expect to see that polished, perfect presentation, because you've been doing this now. Your chances to make the mistakes were the first couple shows, those ones where where you do the split leg stallion, whatever the hell that was. I don't know what that was, but that's where you make your mistakes, and then it gets better and better and better. And that's part of the learning process. So, going through those levels is so important, and you shouldn't look past where you're at, not because, everybody aspires to be the next level. I tell people all the time, I couldn't get past the Mr. Cleveland contest, so I had no business going to the Mr. Ohio contest. That's just the way it worked in my brain. And if you got to the Mr. Ohio, you had no business going to a national show if you couldn't win the Ohio, because that should have told you right then and there, I'm not ready. Enjoy the journey. Keep working. Put your blinders on. Get back in the gym. Do your diet so that you change your body. Do all the things you're supposed to do, and don't worry about. Go ahead.
What would you say to a competitor who, at a bigger regional show, got first or second, so qualifies for a national show, or even wins an overall? What would you say to her if maybe she needs a little bit more work, or what would you say to her if she needs to analyze if she's ready for a national show?
Okay, so this is what I've always said. When you get to that point, if you go to a regional show and you win an overall, or even if you were first and second at that national show, and you really want to go do a national show, I will always encourage them. And here's why. I'll say, all right, well, how much time do we have? You're looking at this one. Okay, you have all you can really do is tighten up a little bit, or do, come in a little fuller. You really can't make any real muscular changes. But with that being said, I always tell them, first things out of my mouth, can you afford it? Is it affordable? Is it in your budget? Do you have a job that, you can take time off of work? You have to be able to fit this into your life. I always say that. So I always go, if all those points line up, go to that national show, see how you stack up. There's no guarantee you're going to do good, bad, and different, but you won't know until you go. And when you see how you stack up against the other athletes, then you'll really start. Plus, you're going to get in front of a national set of judges. They're going to give you good feedback. And if they don't, if someone doesn't, let me know, because I'm always like, come on, give them good feedback, guys. But you get to get good feedback. You'll be able to take that to the next show you go to and make your improvements. And it's sometimes interesting to see, how did you stack up versus the next, 5 girls you were on stage with? And you won't know until you go. So I always encourage it. I don't want to discourage it, but I also feel very strongly, if it doesn't fit your life at that time, then you have to make sure that it does. And I know I could probably make enemies saying that, but it's true. I don't want to put somebody in a situation where you can't afford to do a show. Or here's the other thing: if you can't afford to go to the show, you're probably going to do something half-assed to get to the show.
Yeah.
Whether it's your diet or whether it's, your training, your coaches, whatever it may be, that's going to affect you as well. So make sure it fits your life. But I always go, take the step, take that chance, because you'll never know how you stack up until you actually go there. And if you're good enough at that regional show where you're winning an overall, you definitely should go. A great example of this is this year at the Clash. We had 2 really good figure girls, and the one who actually won the overall, she took second at her class at the Junior USA. The girl who was the runner-up in the overall won the overall at the Junior USA and stepped 1 week later on stage at the New York Pro and took 4th.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yes. So, I mean, once again, you never know until you stack yourself against someone else, because we see you and we go, yes, you're definitely the best at this regional show, or you're 1 or 2 at the regional show. She was like, okay, I really want to go do the Junior USA. Absolutely. Go do it. She did. She won the overall there and then went right to the New York Pro and did very well. So you don't know until you step, because her opinion going to the New York Pro, and she asked me what I really thought. I said, you're picking one of the hardest contests to make your rookie debut. It's pretty strong. But I said, you don't know. Are you okay with wherever you place? Absolutely. I said, then go.
Yeah.
Don't put any preconceptions in your mind like you're going to walk on, and you're going to be in the Olympia next week. I go, because you're going up against some great athletes in the pro league, and we just don't know where you're going to fall yet. And now we can look at her and go, here's what you have to do to improve if you want to win a pro show.
I think it's always good to go against people that are, that was always my mentality. I wanted to be next to the best.
Yeah.
It was the only way I was going to figure out what flaws I had, what I needed to improve on. So that was why I really liked and enjoyed being, not only was it, motivating for me competition wise, like knowing I was about to be against, all these people that I had looked up to, but then actually getting to compare my physique next to theirs and just seeing like, wow, I'm really not as far off as what I have been thinking I am this whole time. And then it was easy for me to be able to continue making the improvements and all that stuff. So I always say, like, even my athletes that are always on the fence, I'm always like, if you just trust me, let's just get on stage. If you are financially stable and we want to do this, like, let's go ahead and get on stage and just see. Let's just see the feedback that we get. Let's see what you look like next to competitors that are seasoned, that have been doing this for a while on the national stage. And then we can go from there. And hey, if you end up taking a top 5 placing and we get great feedback and we're close and you want to keep going, let's keep going for the pro card. So I always think that's really good to do.
100%. And always remember, we're all competitors. Nobody gets up there going, I want to take 7th place.
Right.
Every one of us goes to win. I go, that's part of human nature. That's part of who we are. I go, we don't get up there, like I said, and think, oh, I don't want to win. So if you're constantly going and you do well, you want to have better competition.
Exactly.
The better the competition. I go, that would be like a great football team saying, we're really good, but we don't want to play another really good team because we know we can beat the 0-13 team. It doesn't work that way. You want to take your skills and test with the best. And once again, we've said that for years. You can, and I'm biased, of course, because I came into this in, like I said, in the mid 80s. So for me, I've only known the NPC. I was past the AAU time. So for me, I always go, the best of the best compete here. And then, obviously in the pro league, that's where you go if you want the best competition.
Yep.
and I'm biased. I say it all the time. I see what I see. I go, I can look at you guys and go, ain't nobody coming close to that anywhere else. I mean, you guys are the top of the game. So for me, if you really watch what we do, it's fun. For me, it's fun to watch, like I said, because I see these amazing people all striving to get to the Olympia, which that just, and to have the honor now of doing it 3 years in a row of judging it, it blows my mind sitting there looking at that stage and looking at the athletes up there, because that is the best of the best, period. There are not physiques better. And that's the part that I always, once again, I lean back to. I know we're all competitors. We all want to win, but then I have to put my perspective glasses on and talk to an athlete and go, you do realize you're one of the 25 best bodies in the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? And they always look at me and they go, didn't think of it that way, or I don't care, I want to win. And I get it.
It's so hard to not get out of that mindset, because as competitors, we're so hard on ourselves, and we are constantly comparing ourselves to everyone in our division, everyone on stage with us. So that holds a lot of gravity, like when you say that, and it's even a wake up call to me now.
It really does. But here, take it this way: when you're in the gym and you're training, and your training partner does a rep more than you, the next set you want to raise the weight and outdo them. I go, that's just going to be the mentality of how it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a lot of weight here. I ain't talking 500 pounds. I'm talking it could be a 25 pound. It could be a 25-pound weight, and the mentality is we always push for more.
Yeah,
we don't just do 5 reps and drop the bar and go, I'm done. Nobody does that. Not anyone who's any good. Yeah. I go, you can't. You have to kill yourself. It's just like dieting, where you go, okay, if the judge tells you have to tighten up and you say, well, I really want to eat Pop-Tarts, then you're not going to tighten up. No. Sorry, Woo. No. Sorry, Woo.
Dang it! Got to throw those out. Sorry, Jamie.
I know that coaches will back me on that one, because I'm going to tell them, you all know that it ain't going to happen. But speaking of coaches, I want to bring this up, because I always explain this to athletes as well. I always go, when choosing a coach, treat picking your coach like it's a job interview.
Yeah.
I said, you are interviewing that coach. So athletes will ask me all the time, who do you recommend? And I'll go, well, I'm going to give you a list of 10, 5, whatever it may be, that I think are great coaches. Not all of them are going to be right for you.
No, absolutely.
And they go, well, what do you mean? And I'll say, treat it, you're hiring this person, you are paying them. Treat it like you're interviewing them to come work for your company. Like you're the CEO of your own company and you're interviewing this coach, because that coach and you have to fit. You have to be able to communicate with them. You have to be able to talk to them and understand and trust in them. And if you don't have that, I don't care what the name is on the coaching team, you're going to bolt. You're going to leave.
I also say it's a relationship, like you're entering a relationship with them and you're trusting them to put your health and your fitness and to put your body on stage. So you have to fully trust them, communicate with them. Like it's more than just, oh, here's the money for a program and here's my program. No.
Especially in this sport, in bikini by itself, because as well as all of us, how much detail goes into bikini, so much detail. So I guess I get so confused whenever I get on consult calls and I'm talking to people and they're talking about their old coach and how they did all these shows with them. And I'm like, I end up like researching their coach and I'm just like, why would you pick this person? Like, I don't understand. They don't know anything about the division. They have zero competitive background. They don't know anything about bikini. It just blows my mind that people literally will pay somebody to put them on stage as a bikini competitor, knowing that this person knows absolutely nothing about the sport or about bikini. It blows my mind.
And I tried to explain this all the time. And I say,
he's like, Joe, it's like, I've tried to explain this.
No, I have. And I really do. And I try to be as kind as possible, going, treat it like you would if you were hiring, I don't know, let's say you work in finance and you're hiring an accountant in your company. Treat it like somebody that you would hire. You're doing a job interview. You're trying to find out about that coach. What is, like you said, what is their background? What are they, and how do they communicate? What is your, you're in this relationship too with them. So as an athlete, you got to be going, okay, what do you expect from me? You should be asking all kinds of questions, not just, well, I'm going to train with team A because, you know, they have a lot of girls with shiny jackets that walk around at shows and I want to be part of that girl gang. That ain't it.
No.
You have to have some knowledge on what your end, as well as have faith and trust in the coach on the other end, and you have to gel. And then it makes sense that I go, listen, what I see more camaraderie in the bikini division than anywhere else. And I know you might all just be pulling my legs because you might hate each other and want to rip each other's hair out. But I say this.
We love each other.
I really do think that. And here's why. I see you guys being nice to each other backstage. You talk to one another, you communicate via social media, even when you aren't on the same team. I go, but what I find is the teams become strong and you find your friends, you find your group. And I call it it's a girl gang. It's your girl gang. It's your friends. I go, they're the ones who are looking out for you as well. So it's, once again, all that comes with picking the right team. Because usually what you'll find is those on the team that don't fit the same kind of mold, they usually leave. They go somewhere else, and that's okay. I go, this is part of what we experience, and I'm always like perplexed at how good our trainers are, like our top tier trainers, because I've asked the question of them before: do you get upset when a girl leaves you? And they look at me and they go, no, not really. You know, it's their choice. They have to do the thing, you know, and I see it happen all the time. And, you know, you'll see, you know, but what starts to be interesting to me, and I'll put this out there because I've always been a person who felt you should look in the mirror and be able to accept what you do. If I see someone bouncing and I'm like, I don't know who she's with this week because, you know, trainer to trainer to trainer, it's usually not the trainer. That's the problem.
Yep.
And that's just life. And that's everything we do, whether it's a job or a relationship or whatever. I go, and once again, I might be getting a little wax and philosophical here, but I always go, look at yourself and take responsibility for yourself. Start there. And then the rest of things will fall into place. But you have to, you know, it's like saying, I'm gonna train for this show, but I don't want to go to the gym today. I'm a little tired. I'm going to stay home. But I'm still going to do that show, and I expect great results. You're selling yourself short here. So once again, I say it all the time. I'll lead back to it before we, you know, I don't know how many more questions we got or how much time we have, but bodybuilding has done everything good for me in this world. It's been everything for me because it gave me the discipline that I probably would have never had. I probably would have been in jail somewhere as a teenager. Because
what got you into bodybuilding, Joe? Like, what got you into it? Like, what was the initial start again for that?
Girls.
For you?
Girls.
Honest.
You know,
Honest.
it's really funny.
That was a question.
Because you want to get a girl. Come on.
No,
you know
seriously, Dom was talking about that last night. He was saying that back then, he was like, if you got your pro card, it's like so many girls were just all over you. Like that was like the coolest thing.
No, but I'm going to tell you this. Okay, so in high school in the 1980s, if you were, I mean, I was 235 pounds my senior year. I'm only 5'7" or whatever the hell I am. I could not get a date. I couldn't get a date. People looked at me like I was some kind of freak. Like, why is this guy eating chicken out of a bag? And back then, people were like, "You're an anomaly. You were not the norm. You were really out there." You know, I had my like protein powder, you know, my Joe Weider chewables in my locker. That looked.
I love it. You need pictures of this.
I know. We need to put this in here.
Like with
for
the
real
baggy pants and the, you know, neon pink t-shirt.
You're like, I'm so cool. I'm so cool.
Oh my goodness! If you go on, well, you'd have to dig a little bit, but they're out there. There's actually my first time.
Look at that. Pishkula.
I got the big mullet going on stage.
See if I can find it.
Oh, it's out there. You can put it on there somewhere. You can be like, here's what he was talking about. Actually, I'll see if I can find it and I'll text it to you. But I might not. I might just hang up and pretend I never said that. But I know Woo's gonna go find it.
I'm searching. I'm just looking up Joe Pishkula. Like, I don't know what year. What year can I?
Just go on you have to go on Facebook or like Instagram or whatever. They're out there. But seriously, I think everybody, you know, we start lifting because of I don't want to say it's how do I say this? You're insecure and you're, as a teenager, you're usually insecure with the way you look. So bodybuilding
because you want to get better. I definitely agree.
It makes you confident. It gives you confidence.
Yeah.
I go,
Yes.
but what's amazing is you find that your own little tribe of knuckleheads in the gym is what I used to call it. The guys that you like, okay, this is, I tell people all the time, my best friends in the world, I've trained with every one of them. And, godfather to their kids, been in their weddings, have been there when they died. So for me, like I said, the relationship that this sport has, the relationship it gave me and the confidence and the dedication and all the drive is really what makes it so different than anything else. But it's skills that are transferable.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that all the time. I go, you want to be able to do good, whether it's a job, relationship, family, children, whatever it may be. All the things we do in the gym and when we get ready for stage really do translate.
It bleeds into your entire lifestyle. Like
It really does.
it
I think
really
that's why you become such
everything.
close friends with the people who are bodybuilding around you, because their lifestyles, their mindsets, you all correlate together and you relate so much. And just like you said, you grow up with them, you're at their weddings, they're the uncle, godfather, their kids, like that will be Ashlyn and Jazzy.
Yes, and it will. And the funny thing is really, I'm not making that up. I go, I don't know if it's because we were all just slightly off, like me and my buddies in the gym. I say that all the time. We are not normal. I used to say that all the time. I go, nobody puts 700 pounds on their back and wants to walk out and squat it. Who's normal? I go, that's just stupid.
No.
You're just an idiot. And the funny thing is people go, what are you, some kind of sado? And I'm like, we really are. I mean, one more rep.
You're crazy.
Hell, you want to set it down? You don't stop. You keep going. I go, it takes a like-minded group of people to actually do those things and hang out and keep going.
Yeah.
I go, and it is.
Me and Marisa did a 20 YouTube channel the other day. People were like, so what are your hobbies? What do you guys like to do for fun? We just both looked at each other like, work out.
Coffee.
It's true.
But that's not like odd to us. That's our life. That's what we love. Even if I didn't know Ashlyn, that's what I would love. So that I found a friend that loves it just as much just makes it even better.
Yep. And I told you what's amazing is I've always found this, like I said, those people that you have those kind of commonalities with, you end up being friends for life. So now you two are stuck with each other. So you got that going for you.
Forever.
I'm just saying.
Well, we were in the same womb, just 4 years apart. It's
just 4 years apart? It happens. It happens. All right, what other questions do we got? You see this face and my eyes are getting tired and I'm over there going, okay, what else we got? Come on, let's go. Come on, give me
honestly, that's it. Like all the other questions.
That was great. We kind of like answered a lot of them along the way.
Answered them as we were like talking.
And this is what we wanted. We wanted it to just flow, conversation. Get people inside of, what you're about, what judging about, what competing is about from a different perspective.
So one of the questions you guys asked in your list of 5 that you sent me was, what's my favorite division?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course I'm going to say bikini.
What is it?
I'm on a 3 bikini.
Shit.
And tomorrow when I do a podcast with Women's Physique, I'm going to say Women's Physique. And when I do a podcast with Figure, I'm going to say Figure.
The difference is, the only difference is that you're lying there. You're not lying here.
Yeah. Not you red-handed.
Oh, okay. So when Jake has me on, I'm going to say women's bodybuilding 100%. And but no, seriously, I do love all of our divisions. And I know there was a question too of what do you think is the hardest division to judge? And I know that was in your pre-questions. But to be honest, it's not necessarily what's the hardest division to judge. It's how that day is on stage. There's days where I sit down and it could be 40 girls and it just goes like that. It just falls together. There's other days where I go, okay, this show is very difficult because I have so many good athletes. I don't have the easy decision. I go, sometimes you go, okay, this one's a no-brainer. I know who's in first. All right, let me think about, okay. And then you go, wait a minute, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Oh my God, they're almost, each one has some flaws that I'm seeing. And now which one is better than the other one? And I'm comparing, and it's not an easy, and Ashlyn, I know you've heard me say it from the microphone. I go, this was not an easy day for me.
Mhm.
And those are the ones that I go, it's not that any division is harder to judge than any other. It's just certain shows, sometimes the way the moon, the stars, the sun line up, you go, this is just one of those shows that's difficult, because once again, you want to get it right. You don't want to.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll even look at the list before I go to the show, and I'm like, this is going to be tough. This is going to be a tough show for them to judge, just because the quality.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's when it gets harder, I should say, and makes it more difficult. But is there one division that I find more difficult? No. I think they're all fun. Each one is very unique, and I love that we have that opportunity. I think it's it's funny is when Bikini and even rewind before that, when fitness and figure, and it was like, well, I really didn't understand. I go, it was women's bodybuilding for me. That's all we had back then. But I am so thankful that we have all these divisions. And even with the addition of wellness now, I love it, because I go, this allows more people to compete. And the more that we allow people to compete, the better the organization, the better the sport is. I go, you don't want it to be a great example. Not as many people coming up now want to be 250 pound, 280 pound, 300 pound bodybuilders. It's not for everybody. But if we didn't have classic, which is a wonderful addition because of that height, weight comparison, those parameters, and then of course men's physique, I go, you have a different area for every type of body, or what you want to build your body to be. That's the key. What do you want to be? What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want your body to look like?
An open bodybuilder.
Yeah. And that's what I love. I go, okay, you like bikini, but maybe you want to do figure. I go, then you have that opportunity. You have figure, you go, okay, well, you know what, or bikini, and it's I've never really done well because my legs are so big, and I've been constantly trying to downsize them. Wellness was created just for that, that body, and on it goes. So for me, I love all our divisions, and the more we can be inclusive and have more people competing, the happier I am.
There is a question about bikini and wellness that I would like to cover, just because wellness is such a new division. You hear my dog right now? Hey,
Yeah.
He's
awesome.
Inside voices.
He's like, pay attention to me, Mom.
So the question is, what's your advice for women who are between? So let's say they're a little bit bigger than bikini and smaller in wellness, in terms of which decision they should choose within staying, a little bit smaller, trying to fit into that category, or if they should grow and go into wellness. What do you think is better?
You have two varying factors in that question. The first thing I'd ask that athlete is, how do you like to train? So, there is a difference if you're going to grow your quads to have bigger quad sweep, bigger hamstrings, bigger calves, because you have to build up your lower body. First off, do you like to train that way? Second, do you want that look for your body? Because if you don't like the way you look, what's the whole point of doing this?
Right.
You have to really enjoy the way you look. And you can't try to force yourself into something that doesn't work for you. So if the athlete says, well, I really don't want to have big legs like, Franciele, or I don't want to be like Isa, or I don't want to be like Yarishna, or I don't want, then you answered your own question, because their legs are very well developed. And, there is that imbalance top to bottom, which normally is most females will be bottom heavy. Yeah. You're going to have more muscle in your legs. Now the question becomes, is that what you want your body to look like? Yeah. And I always ask those questions, because I go, if you say no, I would tell you not to do it, because ultimately we only on stage for a day. you have to live with your body every day, wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, take a shower, go swimming, go to the beach, be with your significant other. I don't care what it is. If you don't like the way you look, you're not going to be happy. And
you need to take into consideration too, the off season. So you're going to be a lot bigger in off season. Of course, like I look at, a person that's on stage on wellness when they're shredded and conditioned, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'd love to look like that. But in the off season, having to put on even more weight to continue to grow, I personally wouldn't like that for myself, which is why, could I easily continue to grow my legs? Absolutely. I could definitely do wellness if I wanted to, but I prefer to stay smaller and get the condition that I want for bikini and be in that division, because I don't want to look, I wouldn't personally like how I would look in the off season as a wellness competitor.
And that is the key. It's what do you want to look like? Because like you said, every day is not competition. It's your off season. You're walking around.
You have to live in this body and you have to love it. And like you were saying, like,
and you also have to consider the training that you may have to do as well. Like that was my thing. I was urged since I started competing, you got bigger legs for bikini. When 2019 came around, I did Pittsburgh Pro. That's when they announced that wellness was coming out. And I was still being told, hey, you seem to still have, development in your lower body, maybe wellness. And I was like, I'm getting old and a bitch is not trying to squat that heavy, leg press that heavy. Like I like my bikini bodybuilding training. Like I'm gonna stick with that. Like, so those are things to consider as well.
Yeah,
and that's what you're saying is like, you don't want to resent this sport. Like you don't want to force yourself into a division and not like the training, not like the way you look, just because someone told you to do that specific division.
And if you resent it, you're not going to last. You're going to be done, because you can't have those thoughts in your head when you're training. You have to be 100% in with what you're doing. You have to love it, because once again, nobody would choose to get up and make egg, at 4 a.m. and doing cardio and eating egg whites and chicken breast and, dry rice out of a Tupperware container with some asparagus thrown in it. Nobody in their right mind is doing that. And I don't say that to be discouraging. I go, you have to love this.
Yeah.
If you don't love it, forget it, because you ain't, like I said, you're not going to go to the gym consistently. You're not going to diet and eat, and I hate using the word diet. You're not going to eat the way you should, whether it's pre-contest, getting ready for a contest or off season. You're not going to do the right things. So you have to love what you're doing, and you have to love the results you're getting from it. And if not, forget it. You just go do something else. And I don't mean to say that to be cruel. I want people to understand that you should love what you're doing. And if you love it, it's just like a job. If you have a job you hate, you ain't going to be good at it.
No,
I don't want to be, I'm just being honest. If you hate it, you might be able to do it. You might be serviceable and you can make some money, but there's no passion. You're never going to excel at that job.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding's the same thing. You got to love this, and you got to really, it is a big part of your life, because like I said, you're getting up early, you're structuring your life to how you're eating. And of course, you've heard Sandy say it, you hear me say it as well. You don't want it to be everything. There are other things that are very important, but it should be a combination. It should be interwoven into your life, and you have to love it. And if you don't, well, like I said, then it might not be the right thing. And I don't say that to be mean or chase people away. I want you to enjoy this. It does me no good to talk to an athlete. And, the worst thing, let me bring this up too, because I want to make it throw this out. Worst thing in the world is when an athlete will come up to you and they'll say, what do I need to do to get better? And you tell them what they need to do, and they look at you and they go, well, you don't know what you're talking about. Then don't ask me.
You ask the judge for feedback and you don't know.
Happens with men a lot more than with the women, believe me. But there is always there's always fishing or ping pong, I guess. I don't know. I look at it and I go, if you're not loving what you're doing, and this is the in life. If you're not loving it, it's time to change it, because it ain't going to work for you. It's not going to work. So that's my final advice, I guess, for the evening, is make sure you're doing it you're happy with the way you look. You love the process. Enjoy it. You get one body, and take care of it. try to take care of it the best you can, and enjoy the competitions, enjoy them. I mean, once again, like I said, someday you're going to look back and you go, I'm not doing this anymore. It's your body might not be able to, and it might not be by choice.
Exactly.
And that's something that you have to kind of always have in your brain. So I always go, enjoy the moments, every one of them, every show you go to, even when you're not competing, enjoy the being around like-minded people. Something I always find funny. I've never been a public speaker, never liked getting up in front of people and talking. You put me with a group of bodybuilders, I'll talk all day. I mean, I have so much fun because I go like-minded people. I would not, okay, this is just me. I don't go to rock I used to years ago, tons of concerts. You could not drag me to a concert today for anything. You could put me with 3,000 bodybuilding fans and I'm comfortable and calm and happy.
Yeah.
I still have that working in my brain. That's still there. It's a comfort zone. It's like-minded people. So for me, this is a simple choice. I call this my retirement job because I have retired out of the construction world. And now I'm sitting around in Florida. So it really is like being retired. I might as well wear black socks and sandals and just get used to it. But this for me is heaven. I'm glad I get to spend the time with all you guys and enjoy it. And like I said, I go, someday you'll be the ones who are the next group that hopefully will pay it forward and take interest in other people. And I know you coach, I know all you coach, but I go, eventually, no matter what you do in life, just keep that paying forward, because they're going to have another generation of people that are just like us that love this sport. So you guys are three of my favorites. So don't let anyone tell you I told you that, because y'all right people. So love you.
Well, it's going to be live, so the whole world will know.
Once again, remember how I said to you, what's your favorite division? What's your favorite division figure? I'll get on with the next group of people and I'll be like, oh, you three are my favorites. I love all of you.
Don't worry, Joe. We say the same thing about you. You're our favorite.
Exactly.
Your favorite judge.
And then you see somebody else and you're like, you're my favorite judge. I'm like, I hear that shit all the time.
Wait till Sandy's on.
Nose grow like Pinocchio.
Well, seriously, we do love you and we do appreciate you coming on here.
Likewise.
Your time and advice, because we really appreciate you and we know that, you're extremely valuable in the sport. So we just very appreciate your time for coming on here. We know it's late over there, so we really do.
Thank you.
You have a long weekend ahead.
Yes. So am I seeing any of you in Miami?
I'll see you there tomorrow.
Yeah, just holding it down for us.
All right. And
but we will be watching.
No matter what, I know there's no pro bikini this year, but if I wasn't a shameless promoter, I wouldn't talk about the Clash in November with the pro wellness that we're doing.
Throw it out.
I missed that. Yeah. Already have that.
So, what date is it? What date?
November 5th.
5th. Correct. 5th. And
where?
It's in Orlando, and we're doing it at the Grand Cypress right at Disney. So it's the Hyatt Regency Grand Cypress.
Nice.
So this resort is unreal. It's gorgeous.
Let's go.
And I can't, if I could do both shows there, I would do both shows there, but it's just how the Hyatt and, the contractual things worked out, time of year and everything. But I really love this hotel, and it's of course all under one roof, ultra luxury, the whole 9 yards. And we're going to give away $10,000 for wellness in the first year right off the get. So, I hope that, once again, I go, the NPC side is really a great show for me too. So I want to make sure that everyone knows about that show. And, I'm going to say at www.theclash.com. Like I said, I'm constantly promoting. I don't stop. And I got 3 Clash girls right here on the freaking thing with me. So, I mean, come on. Yeah. Look at that.
Motivation will definitely be there. So we'll be here to support. We're bringing a lot of athletes, so we can't wait.
Thank you. And, like I said,
yes.
We're going to have a good time as always. And
Thank you again for being on, Joe. We really, really appreciate it.
Anytime, except for the next 364 days. I'm busy.
Okay. We'll circle back in 1 year.
You know it. You know it. You guys take care. Thank you
June
again for
2nd.
having me. All right.
Hey, hold on. Jazzy, take a screenshot with your phone.
Okay.
So I can do the
Smile.
video.
Cute.
You know
Got
what's
it.
so funny? Right now, I don't have my glasses on, and right now I'm looking at I can see Jazz fine, but like looking up in the corner, I'm just like a little blurry blob. So I will see you guys. I will see you guys on the flip side. All right. You guys have a good night. We'll catch up again soon.
Bye.
Anytime.
Take
You guys,
care.
I'll do it. For you guys, I'll break the rule and I'll do it less than do it some other time whenever you need me. I'm always around. You know, basically, if you can't find anyone better than, normally
We
you'll
will
like
take you up on that offer. Just know.
anytime. I'll come on and just shoot the shit with you anytime. I mean,
Doing the
whatever.
shit.
Anytime.
Yeah. All right. You guys have fun. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Good, Joe.